This is the BackOFF XP brake light signal module from Signal Dynamics. This, when you put it in line with your brake light, will make your brake light flash like a strobe rather than just being solid on. It'll kind of flicker and gets people's attention more so than just a standard on-off brake light, or at least that's what I'm told. So let's just take a look at their literature that tells you how to do it. It's pretty simple. You just wire it in line with your brake light circuit, and there are two different modes. So one mode is 4 short flashes and then 1 long flash, and then it repeats that, and then this one is 5 quick flashes, and then your brake light just works like a normal brake light after that. They recommend this first mode as being the one that gets people's attention the best. It also has a hazard flasher feature, so if you want to hook up the yellow wire to your battery and put a switch in, you can create a hazard flashing light on your bike if it doesn't already have one. So pretty cool. Installation is pretty simple. There's a bunch of wires and you just use the wires you need. Hello, cat. Then you clip off the wires you don't need. We're going to put this on a Royal Enfield Bullet and see how to hide it in the bike without having too much trouble, cutting up the wiring or doing any kind of permanent modification. So on the Royal Enfield Bullet, on the left side of the bike, you've got your brake light switch, and the actual switch is inside of this box. And you can see these little screw-on connectors that are connected to the wires. So it'd be real easy to just take those. I mean, those are just naked wires in there that have a screw holding them down. So what I'll do is just replace those wires or splice in the BackOFF kit onto there, and it'll be real easy to remove it if I need to, and just real easy to install it without having to cut into the factory wiring too much. So the green wire is the one that goes to the brake light, and that's the one that's going to need to hook up to the BackOFF module. So I can just I can actually get a screwdriver in through the bottom of the toolbox here, then loosen it up. Now if you need to get the actual little box out, there's a little nut here that holds it and a bolt on the bottom side, and it's pretty easy to take it out and move it. But I don't need to do that in this case. I'm just loosening up this bolt and then pulling that green wire free. Now if we look at the box, what I'm going to do is hook up the red wire, which goes to the, it's going to go down to that connection, so that's where the power is going to go into it. And then I'm choosing the recommended red and white wire to go to the tail light, and that's going to give me 4 flashes and then a long flash and then 4 flashes and then a long flash after that. And then the black wire goes to ground, and then these 2 wires, since I don't need them, the yellow one would be an emergency flasher light one if I wanted to make an emergency flasher, and this one is the other option, the 5 quick flashes option for the brake light. So I'll just be using these 3 wires and then capping these off so that they don't ground out on anything. So the red wire can actually go down here and just plug right in here. Alright, so what I'm going to do is just pull the green wire goes through this protective insulating tube. So I'm going to pull the green wire from the bike out of there, and then run this red wire from the BackOFF module down to here. So you can see this is made of metal with a fairly sharp edge. So what I'm going to do when I run my red wire down here, just like Enfield did with this insulator, I'm going to cut a piece of plastic tube and just run the wire through the tube. That way it'll protect it from being sheared off by this on the back side. Alright, so here's the setup. I'm putting the BackOFF module up here because at some point I may be relocating my battery here. There's a big old battery box on the side, and I'm using a little tiny lithium iron Shirai battery that'll fit right in here if I want to relocate it someday. So I want to leave myself an option for that. So the module's here. I've got the red wire running through a plastic tube to protect it from being sheared off and hooking up to this connector, which is where the green wire from the Royal Enfield was hooked up. So then I'll take the green wire from the Enfield and I'll hook it up to either the white and red wire or the red and white wire, depending on which flashing signal mode I like best. And then I'll cap off any wires that I don't use. And the black wire goes to ground, so I'm going to get a sort of a loop connector to splice onto the end of this, and then I'm going to connect it to this bolt right here, which goes to ground. So it's a really simple install. You can do this in 20 minutes, no problem. And it's also completely reversible, so if I ever want to get rid of it, I can just unplug this, pull it out, unplug the ground wire, and then just run this green wire back down here into the bolt. And real easy. So let's see how it looks. So we'll wait till nighttime, and then I'll test both modes and show you the difference. Alright, so I've got it hooked up to the white wire with the red stripe. So we're going to hit the brakes here, and I'm going to hold the brake down and see what happens. So I'm still holding the brake down. And you can see it does some flashes, and then it does one long, steady one. And when I let up on it, it stops doing what it's doing. So now let's see what happens when I hook it up to the other one. Alright, now it's hooked up to the red wire with the white stripe, so the wire that's mostly red. I hit the brake, flashes, seems to flash quicker than it did the other way, and then it just stays steady from then on. And if I let up, it lets